Yeah. To actually flower. So the first year when you plant them, you're not going to get any flowers. And then the second year, it's maybe 1 or 2 buds. And then, so now we're on year 4 or 5. So I've got a significant amount of flowers, and they actually die all the way back to the ground. So you don't know how much plant do you have left this year. So it's always it's like watching an ant farm for me.
I always forget with mine that I even have them, and I didn't plant them. Whoever owned the house before me planted them. So I don't know how long they were there before me, but I've been here 23, going on 20. I think this August will be 24 years, I think. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And they come up just as the same as ever.
Right as rain. Right. Yeah. So we are living the garden life.
Yeah.
That's what I know. Other than the weekend. Oh, speaking of gate. So remember how I was complaining about going to the thrift shop or whatever, the vintage store that wasn't very vintage. Okay, so of course I'm not going to put up with that. So I Googled and I found another one that was in this huge warehouse. And this one was what I thought the other would be. But speaking of gate, I get nervous, which kicks my spasticity in more when there's a lot of glass.
Yeah, I was going to say, does you break it, glass. You buy it?
Especially antique glass. And there were some booths that I was just nope, leave me out here. Do not let me in there. I do not. Because, the more you think about it, don't say or do this, you do it. Your subconscious mind just would trip because you're don't trip. So we had that adventure of a bunch of beautiful old glass, milk glass and things like that, where I was just no, seriously, leave me on the aisle and you go look at it for me.
And no breakage. No breakage. Good. You know, another term to search is architectural salvage.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Now you got me on it. I know my mom said estate sale too.
Yeah, that'll work too. Yeah, but architectural salvage is things like windows. You get that old glass, wavy glass, or all kinds of old things like that.
Cool.
Yeah.
So that was my adventure.
Very nice.
Trying to stay upright in old glass and enjoying looking at old stuff. What about you?
Well, sad news to report that, because we've had a number of the team members on. Another one today. The LA Chargers wheelchair football team was suspended. Not suspended. They've just, they shut down. Basically, I guess is maybe a better way of putting it. Yeah. Just a total surprise. We had the coach Eric on. We've had a number of the players. They were getting ready for tryouts and, to really get started in earnest for the season coming up. And they just pulled the rug out from under them. So, they're really taking it very hard.
I read it on the our prep sheet, and I was like, "What?"
Yeah, and rightfully so. I mean, I know. I think the football team brought them together, and I don't know how much of that plays into it, but I just know that they have an immediate and strong bond. That team, and I'm sure part of it's through the team and preparing and playing games together, traveling together. Yeah. All of that's part of it. But somehow I just feel like it's a unique group of personalities that clicked from the moment they got together.
Oh, for sure. I hope. My sincere hope would be that if it doesn't exist as it once did, that they still do it. Do it for fun, still be the mini family. But it sucks because I know they love traveling, and I know that it gave organizations that don't normally deal with that the opportunity.
I don't know if they'll have the equipment though. Is the problem? Is it because they got the chairs through the group and helmets and all that stuff. And, yeah.
Well,
so I don't know what's going to happen with that stuff.
Football players would like to donate.
Yeah. Well, I will say so. That's part of the problem too. Is why they're taking it so hard. They weren't given the opportunity to maybe figure out their own sponsorship. Because I guess the sponsor pulled out. So they ended it, but maybe they could have raised the money or found another sponsor. We're talking about, at least 20 people that are involved. Somebody might have had a connection that would have, or they could have cobbled something together. So many possibilities. So.
Well, let's put it into the universe. And people, if you own a brewery or something that would do, who knows?
Yeah. Well, a few weeks ago, I think more than a few weeks ago, we talked about the smart drive, which I have an update on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, and I, it tried to kill me and all that. But
Yeah.
my friend,
multiple times.
yes, multiple times. Well, and that's it. I think a few weeks ago, I did a briefer story about it, or just commented on it, and it's something about cracking my skull. My friend Mark in Mexico, he checked in and he said, "Hey, you said something about a cracked skull, but you didn't tell a story. What happened?" So I kind of filled him in on the fact that the smart drive was taking off and putting me on my back.
The smart drive is not so smart, people.
Yeah. So
Anywho.
yeah, I got him up to date on that. And I got a call actually today that they're going to come by and install the new updated, reinvented, redesigned controller knob, whatever.
Okay,
For
good.
the smart drive. So it's talking about putting it out in the universe. Put some prayers out there that the thing works this time. It doesn't try to whack Doug. So
Right?
I have a list, of things that I want to touch upon. We don't maybe have to touch upon them all today, but just weird little things. I don't check my mail very often, which I'm sure the mailman just hates me because I have this little.
The mailman is like, dude, get this, dude.
And I don't go for a month or 2 or 3 sometimes.
They think
and
you're on
he's-
vacation or dead in there.
Maybe. I'm surprised they haven't sent somebody for a wellness check. But he knows now, but this time he knows it gets packed. I don't know how he gets it all in there, to tell you the truth. Because it literally was a stack of mail 6-8 inches high.
As big as me.
And 95% of it I throw out. But you know what was in there this time? And I don't know what spurred this. Never seen this before. I probably had easily 20 offers for life insurance. I must have had 6, 8, maybe close to 10 of them were from AAA.
Wow.
Yeah. And then
Oh, you know what? Now that you say that, that is kind of true. And I always kind of look at them and think like, is this because I'm over 40 plus
I'm
now?
way over 40.
Well, no, I like you
yeah,
said, I
no.
don't know what's burning. It does make me think like, what demographics are you looking at that you're like, hey, do this, do this, do this.
And maybe I'm not looking at this right. I had life insurance for 30 years. And
Yeah.
I had that in case, I wasn't around to take care of my daughter and her mother at the time and all that.
Yeah.
Well, after 30 years, it lapsed and I didn't get it again. I mean,
Yeah.
my daughter's taking care of herself,
Yeah.
Is that callous? But if I'm gone, she's going to get a life insurance policy called my house.
Right.
More than anything that life insurance would be for. Plus now it's, astronomical because of my age.
Right. Now it would be very hard for you
Yeah.
to get it.
And
I mean, it's very hard for me to get it because, and I assume the same for you because pre-existing conditions. They're like,
that
and
never,
this and
you say that, but never has that been even brought up, my pre-existing condition.
well, they must have a list, but yeah, let's not talk about life insurance, but I blasted a life insurance one time. Like I did not like them. And I told them so. And I told them why. And
Why?
and I
Because they
actually
wouldn't
got
give you
feedback.
life insurance? Not give.
Yeah,
but-
so the denial, kind of what they were talking about for a pre-existing condition, and it was just such a broad sweeping stroke, and I was like, you don't even know what you're talking about. Basically, they didn't want to give me life insurance because of cerebral palsy, and I was like, do you know? Like,
so they
is
weren't saying cerebral palsy specifically, but that was, you think, the idea, and they were
Oh no,
using
when I
other
asked,
excuses?
when I asked for the denial, that was specifically given.
Oh,
And I wrote back and was like, do you know what that is? Like clearly whoever is making this audit decision has not studied
yeah.
how that affects the body or if it's even pertinent in me cashing out my life insurance.
Yeah.
And yeah, it actually opened a big conversation with a really good agent, but I had to put my grouchy hat on and say, sit down and listen and pull up a chair. And that was one of the first times that I really used my big voice to say, hey.
Good for you.
So anyway.
And did you get life insurance?
I did.
Good. Good. And probably a lot of other people did because of you.
Yeah, because I was like, no.
Yeah.
Go get your book again. Go get your book out and read.
It's funny. I don't know if I just go through life skipping along and am naive to all these things. Because like I say, I've never had, I've had life insurance. and transferred companies sometimes. Never was
Yeah.
denied at work. None of that.